It is happening right now. I think this is it. This is the engagement that we were expecting here for the last few weeks, but it definitely is now happening. We're just now getting all the information. We're going to be covering all of the video that is hitting social media and all of our accounts that we monitor. You won't find any better coverage on any other channel because we definitely always pool information as it happens. And so, guys, stay tuned for all the lowdown on the breakdown as it begins to unfold. It's happening now. So I just got word, and as the video comes out, because the video trickles out through a lot of different sources that we have on Telegram, on the forums, on X. You're not going to see this in mainstream, and many alternative media outlets will not even cover this in the way that we do. So we already got footage right now. Okay, let me get some of the footage out here. We're getting footage right now. So, and I'll tell you what happens as we're watching the footage. I want to get the footage out first, and I'll go through and I'll explain what's going on to some of those who don't know what's happening here. Okay, here we go. So here is interceptors being launched in northern Israel amid Iranian missile attack. Now, the Israelis have basically gone into Beirut. That was the red line that Iran said if they did, we would attack Israel. So this is what just happened. Israel went in and assassinated some Hezbollah leaders, and now Iran is making good on their promise, and they're probably going to be sending in the hypersonics. So here we go. Let's go ahead and play this. All right, so that was one of them. There's another one there. Let's go back and see if we can see anything there. This is something here. Let's see. It's in Hebrew. Let's just get this. We can see it here. So it says here that following the IDF strike in Beirut, at the conclusion of the situational assessment, the IDF is preparing for incoming fire towards the territory of the state of Israel in the coming hours. And these are the NOTAMs that have been issued that cleared out all the airspace in Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, even Syria. Okay, so let's get back to some of the other updates that we have going on. Make sure you share this feed. Share the feed everywhere you can. Get the information out there as we cover this. Everybody should be aware of what's happening. Sorry about these loud signals here. Let me turn this down. All right. Okay, so it says a second wave of ballistic missiles has been launched from Iran against Israel just now. We will respond as promised, Israel Channel 14 has stated. Israel sources tell Jerusalem Post that Iran will be hit hard. Hal Turner has stated on June 7th, Israel has attacked Beirut, Lebanon. Again, Iran says resumption of full-scale war has now been stated. NOTAMs have been issued. That means no-fly zones over Iran. Iran state media claims that the IRGC's Khatam al-Anbiya headquarters has placed Operation True Promise 5 on standby following Israeli strikes in Beirut, Dahaya district. So they're calling it Operation True Promise 5. This is Iranians, that's their call sign, I guess, or what they're calling their operation against Israel. Iran's Revolutionary Guard is now ready to execute, quote, Operation True Promise 5 against Israel tonight. And that is happening now because it's nighttime over there, with Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khomeini having authorized the full-scale resumption of war. Now, what the intel has come out in the last few weeks now is that Iran does have a nuclear weapon, and this is why the U.S. has tried to stay away and not engage, because there's fears that they do have a nuke, and that they produced it very quickly. They could have done it within 24 hours, they say, if they wanted to, with the 60% enrichment that they had. So supposedly Trump was not telling the truth about having destroyed all of their nuclear capabilities, completely and utter decimation. He called it a thank you. He called it complete and he called it annihilation when it all took place back, I don't know how many months back it was, when we did our first operation against their nuclear facilities. But that obviously did not happen. They still had everything that they needed. All right, so let me pull up here the main page here. Hold on. All right, so then it says Iran Supreme Leader or Iran Supreme National Security Council has convened an emergency session saying, quote, a painful and decisive response will come in response to Beirut strikes, per Iranian state TV. The Speaker of Iran's parliament and chief negotiator with the U.S. has stated, quote, the naval blockade on U.S. and Washington's green light to Israel make their bases and interests legitimate targets. So they're now saying they're going to target the U.S. bases and our interests, and that they are now legitimate targets. The Hormuz letter, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is now ready to execute Operation True Promise tonight, and we already basically stated all that. It says Iran has issued an evacuation warning to all residents in northern Israel territory to immediately leave, with coordinates of Israeli targets now transferred to missile units. So they're going to start hitting them with hypersonics. Violent explosions are heard in Haifa, northern Israel. So this is already happening. Interceptors have launched from northern Israel to intercept inbound Iranian missiles. A senior Israeli official told Israeli Army radio a few moments ago that launches toward Israeli territory from Iran means a declaration of renewal of war. So this is what an Israeli official has told the Army radio, that a new declaration of war has been issued by Israel toward Iran. Iran's IRGC fires a salvo of missiles against Israel. Now, we're going to be getting, I'm sure, a bunch of footage coming in. Here's the all of the different things that are hitting the fan now on social media now with the red alerts from Kumta. These are all the inbound coming areas here within Israel. Now, we should be covering a live feed here right now. Let's get the live feed up of Israel. Let's see if we can find this here. Okay, so we have a live feed here. Okay, look at this. Wow. All right, let's pull this up, guys. Oh wow, hold on. This is a live feed. Whoa! That just happened. That just happened in Tel Aviv. That's Tel Aviv right now. Holy cow. Let's pull that back. Oh my gosh. All right, so they're saying wave number, see. All right, sorry about that. I had to eat. I did not eat breakfast yet. Okay, so a fourth wave of ballistic missiles is incoming. A fourth wave launched from Tabriz, northern Iran against Israel. At least 7 missiles from Esfahan, and 3 from Tabriz. Wow. So a lot more are incoming, guys. I'm going to get another live feed here in just a second here. Let me pull up another live feed. Okay, so we have another live cam here. All right, let me see if I can find the Associated Press. The AP. Okay, so you know what? Hold on. This might be old footage. This is coming from... See, people are probably trying to take advantage of this on different channels on YouTube because there's all kinds of coverage, but it's all probably old footage. Okay, so let's just kind of look and see if we can find a live feed here. There is missiles incoming, and there has been, some of this might have been footage. Let's just look. I'm going to get you the real footage here from social media or from Telegram. Shelters are opening throughout Israel in response to Iranian missile attacks. There has been missile attacks, but I don't know if all of this that we're looking at is actual footage from today. A lot of these channels that are Indian are kind of probably playing a loop. There has been a 5th wave of ballistic missiles that have been launched, according to... Okay, 5th wave of ballistic missiles have been launched from Iran to Israel. A British refueler has gone airborne from the RAF Akatori. Okay, so something else is here. Israel warns Iran... Any attack will trigger full-scale war. This is what C14 channel in Israel states. Okay, hold on. We got a bunch of news updates here. Following the IDF attack in Beirut and after a situational assessment, the IDF is preparing for fire towards the territory of the state of Israel in the coming hours. Is preparing for fire? Okay, so there are... Let's just put this up because this is all legitimate, for sure legitimate. I can't verify that some of this isn't. This is legitimate right here. Okay, so this is all legitimate footage here from right now. Let me pull it up. Okay, so right here is the, let's take a listen to this. Okay, so they're definitely happy that this is actually happening. These missiles coming out of Kermash Shah as ballistic missiles were launched from Iran with people cheering in the streets. Okay, here we go. All right, we have a live cam here. Let's go over to that live cam. This is one right here. We got two different live cams here. These are live cams. Let me turn this one down so we can hear what's going on here, if we can hear. There is no sound on any of these, but this is southern Lebanon on the right top hand corner. Let me get rid of the call sign there. All right. So these are live visuals from cams live in Israel. Now, like I said, if you're going into these other channels, you're probably going to be seeing older footage, but we're going to only make sure that we put out the legitimate footage that we know is coming out from right now, okay? A lot of this footage is from the previous war, and they're just using the moment that's happening right now to show that they're trying to get views. Okay, well, we don't want to put out false information, but Israel will retaliate according to Axios, citing Israeli officials. This was just posted. Large amounts of traffic are now leaving Tehran from citizens expecting an Israeli response. Okay, we got some more video here. Let's see what this is. I'll make sure I put the good stuff up here. All right, this is just another visual of a missile in the air, which is anything we've already seen. Okay. More incoming missiles. These are coming from, or Israeli alert systems are now going off again. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So they're going off for Tel Aviv, right above Tel Aviv, all around Tel Aviv, Haifa. Here's the Haifa, incoming missiles from Haifa. Let's just go down and look. Haifa. These are all just now popping off. All right, so let's just see if we can see anything coming in here. All right. This is Haifa area down at the right bottom hand corner is Haifa. the two down there. Actually, northern Israel's up at the top or in the middle. 7 and 11. Ooh, I just saw a big explosion there in northern Israel. The top left hand, temporary number 3. Let's go back. Oh, you see that right in there? There's a bunch of bright flashes in northern Israel. All right, the one right beside me there at the green is at Tel Aviv Airport. All right, so we got Tehran up there, a live Tehran feed. At the top right. We got Beirut down there. Okay, we got missiles coming in. Look at the top. This is live right here. Southern Lebanon, missiles coming in northern Israel. You can see them up there, right there. So you guys missed that. Let's roll that back just a little bit. Look. Okay, 3 ballistic missiles launched from Qassam province from Iran. So I just rolled it back just a little bit so you can see it. Look, watch. You see those missiles right there? Those are over southern Lebanon. And there's ones right there, northern Israel. Look. Those are probably defensive. Southern Lebanon, you can see missiles coming in. This might be from Hezbollah. So the IRGC has just now stated that this is the beginning of a full-scale week of continuous strikes. A full-scale week of continuous strikes. Waves of missiles and drones will continue to be launched around the clock for the next 7 days until the enemy is deterred and ceases its crimes. This is according to the IRGC of Iran. And like we said, we know they've got stockpiles of missiles in these cities, underground missile cities. And they are hypersonics as well that can't be defended against by Iron Dome or even a Patriot battery missile system from the U.S. I don't think they're going to be able to stop these missiles. And they may even have bigger payloads this time, but they say a ceaseless, without ceasing for 1 full week of missile strikes. So we could be seeing this ongoing for the next, who knows where it's going to go from here. I mean, we could literally see a nuke. With the way Trump is, he probably will nuke them. I'm just saying, we could literally see nuclear war, and I wouldn't doubt it under Trump because of the way Trump's mindset is. I wouldn't doubt that he wants to do everything big, like, even bigger than World War II. He wants to be known for someone that's historic. He's always talking about himself being in a historic context. And so why wouldn't he be the president that really unleashes nukes? For the greater good of the whole of the world, right? According to his mind, he's going to bring peace by the edge of the sword. Like I said, that's the mindset that I see in Trump. So I'm just telling you what I think he's capable of doing. So northern Israel right here, southern Lebanon here. Let's see if we can find something else here. Okay, so this is where the sound you're hearing is coming from. Sounds like some planes. I'm trying to figure out which. Okay, so let's look at this feed here. We have a bigger feed here. Let's see if we can find that feed real quick. These are, yeah, let's look at this one. All right, I want to thank Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thank you very much, sister. God bless. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, she says. Thank you very much, sister. Everybody thank Melissa. God bless for keeping the channel strong, supplying what we need. We could actually use a whole bunch of your guys' prayers and support in every way. We've been offline for a little bit, and we've just been trying to make sure that we can protect the channel by, if we haven't been online, it's because we've been working behind the scenes to try to get this thing up and over the top in the last few days. Okay, I hear some more what sounds like planes. That sounds like some pretty heavy plane movement there. Okay, here we go. We got some more information. The government of Iran has begun restricting internet access across the country. We just got some from some more intel here. Air defense activity has been reported in Kermanshah and Tabriz, Iran, which we said that earlier, but I think this is something new. Share the feed everywhere you can on your social media, Facebook it, Twitter, put it on forums. We are one of the only channels that was covering this right when it began. A lot of other channels knew a little bit of something. They post old footage. We gonna get you the real stuff that's happening in real time and real coverage as it's unfolding right now, without any embellishments or fake footage. Well, if it's footage that's been previously posted, it may not be fake. It just may be out of date. But we're going to tell you, if we know what we're seeing is happening in real time, we're going to show it to you with live feed. Okay, these are live feeds right here. And our intel from Telegram forums. In fact, I'm going to check out a couple of forums right at this moment and get you what I've seen over here. Oh, okay. Let's see. If I can find anything new here. Okay, breaking explosion in North Tabriz Airport, East Azerbaijan Province, Iran. So Tabriz Airport has heard a massive explosion. Let's see. Okay, so tonight, Tehran must burn. Ben-Gvir, Israeli Minister of National Security, has stated, tonight, Tehran must burn. Wow. Preliminary report, Israeli attack on Iran, 10:47 p.m. That's probably right now. That is... Okay, Israeli channels report that preparations are being made to close Ben Gurion International Airport and lock down Israeli airspace. That is happening right now. Make sure you get connected to our Telegram page for all news updates around the clock. Our Telegram page, somebody post the link in the Telegram page. Preliminary, okay, so that was just posted, okay. Okay, so this one is official reports. The commander of Hazrat Khatam Aniyab headquarters officially announced the start of Iran's response operation to Israel's attack on Beirut's Daya, Iran. IRNA reported. That's a news agency. According to the commander, quote, the aggressive Zionist regime, unquote, has repeatedly violated a ceasefire and escalated attacks on the people of Lebanon with U.S. support and the silence of international organizations. He said Israel crossed all red lines by expanding attacks in southern Lebanon and targeting Beirut's Daya. This intel has previously warned that the crime in the area of Beirut expands, and it says we will attack targets in the occupied territories, the commander said. Okay, breaking. Reuters reports that Israeli officials state that Israel will respond to Iran. So that was just posted. Israel is now going to respond. Israeli aircraft has now entered western Iranian airspace. Okay. Air defenses have been active in Haifa. Okay, now this is real footage here. Let's just post this footage really quickly. This is legitimate real-time footage here. This is northern Haifa. They're just sitting there laughing, I guess, in the background. It's like a party or something. Okay. Breaking. Air defense activity is reported in Tehran, the capital of Iran. All right, so there is, as we speak at this very moment, there is activity that's happening inside of Iran, probably by Israeli attack fighters. Barak Ravid, U.S. official, President Trump briefed on escalation between Israel and Iran. Israeli officials say they will respond to the launches from Iran. Another wave, number 7. More ballistic missiles have been launched from northwestern Iran. This is launch number 7. Launch number 7. Just keep an eye on the screen there. If you guys see anything, just let me know. You should be seeing lights in the background. If you see some incoming missiles, this is northern Israel here. You can see my cursor there. Northern Israel, Haifa. This is southern Lebanon. This is Tehran. So we're talking about Tehran being attacked. So be looking for something happening up on this feed. This is Tabriz missile site in Iran down here. If you can see that. They said that there were launches from here. I wasn't paying attention, so I couldn't have seen them. But you would expect one of the waves of launches came from here, is what they said. So just be paying attention to that while I'm sharing these updates here. Okay, Intel, Trump to Fox News. What I would suggest to Iran, you've shot your missiles, that's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal. Trump desperate to make a deal. You've shot your missiles, that's enough. Right. Israel's responding right now. What do you think they're going to do? This is a tit for tat. It's going to be an escalation that Trump has no control over. Come on. The war was supposed to end in 24 hours with, Ukraine. Whatever happened to that? Here we are, how long into Trump's presidency, and that's still raging. In fact, it's becoming an inferno right now. And he's saying that he's going to stop this. Oh, he's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to tit for, he's always extreme, and then he pulls back. Extreme, peace. Oh, no, now we're going to destroy you, wipe you out the face. Peace. Oh, now we're at the table. We're going to have a deal. We're going to work a deal back and forth. Anybody that even takes anything that Trump says seriously, there's something wrong with you. This is not 3D chess moves. This is someone that is, he's totally, completely enamored with his own estimation of himself and the way people perceive him to be. But now everybody sees through it. You can only do it for so long. He's used up all of his, what's the word I'm thinking of? He's used up all of his, there's a word I'm thinking of. It's like he's already taken advantage of his shooting star. He was shooting star for 2016 going into 2020, but 20 it started to wane, and now here we are. Obviously, he got into the presidency, but the whole reality of who Trump is, I think, is dawning on a lot of people. And I think that he facilitated, with the help, with obviously the facilitation of Israel, what is happening right now. This is all a part of a broader plan. And I think that plan is to affect America in a very, very negative way. The whole world at that, but especially America. Because once America's economy collapses, it affects everything. Everything in the whole world is going to be affected by this. Trump for Fox News. We are close to reaching an agreement. So here's Trump again now stating that we're close to reaching an agreement. Why would he be saying that right at this moment? Let me find that. Let's see if we can find that right now. This has to have been just moments ago. Fox News. Let's go to Fox. That might have been when he had the interview with that lady where he gets up and he walks off the stage. Did you see that? Trump has an interview and he just ends the interview and gets mad and he looks so angry. I've never seen Trump look so fierce countenance. Did you see that? How many of you guys saw that interview? We posted it here on our Telegram page. Here, let me pull it up for you so you can see. Trump very angry. This is angry Trump. Okay, so wait, we got some more. Here's some visuals. All right, let me see if I can find that. See, this is what brought about the response from Israel. There was some Hezbollah fighters that were attacked and killed, or some kind of an attack by Israel. Trump posted this. Look at this. Tell me that's not like total and complete idolatry. 23 minutes ago. This was a little bit ago, earlier this morning. I think this is the National Monument, or a reflection in the pool that supposedly he's doing. There he is. And, you know... Okay, that's not it. I'm on the wrong page here, I think. Okay, yeah, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry. I was on the wrong page. Okay, well, let me just do these updates. Senior Israeli official says that Iran's new ballistic missile attack is a declaration of war. What is that noise there? Iraqi militias have been ordered to fire on American and Israeli targets if the U.S. intervenes. So these Iraqi militias are obviously connected to, and you know, they're extensions of Iranian influence, because they did have huge gains inside of Iraq once we toppled Iraq, which is absolutely crazy. We should have left everything alone. It would have been much better if there was a balance of power here. Okay, so we have another visual here. That sounds like some aircraft. So these are today. These are what took place today. Okay, breaking. All U.S. bases in the region will be considered legitimate targets for Tehran if Israel attacks, a senior Iranian source tells Reuters. So if Israel attacks, they are going to attack all U.S. bases in the region. All U.S. bases will be attacked. Israel will deliver powerful response to Iranian ballistic missile fire, says sources. It says that the Israeli military said it intercepted all Iranian ballistic missiles thus far, following at least 3 barrages fired toward Israel. One of the sources said at least 10 ballistic missiles had been intercepted. The Israeli Defense Force said in a statement that it is currently identifying and intercepting threats. I'm trying to figure out where this interview was with Trump, where he said he's close to an agreement. that we're close to an agreement with Iran. I do not see that here per Fox News. Maybe that had something to do with let's see. That was 2 days ago or long. I don't know. He keeps saying it though. You know, Trump says we're close to an agreement like every other day. And then he says we're going to wipe you off the face of the earth every other day in between. So it's like we're going to wipe you off the face of the earth. We're close to an agreement. We're going to wipe you off the face of the earth. We're close to an agreement. We're going to you know that saying, it's like the boy who cried wolf. You can only do it so many times before nobody takes anything you say seriously. You can't keep saying the same thing over and over ad nauseum and then expect anybody to take anything you say serious when it is actually happening. Nobody's going to believe anything that that's being said out of his mouth or the U.S. government's mouth. Like, really, how do we even know? Like literally, how many times do you have to dash people's hopes and dreams before they finally give up on anything that you say? You know, there's so many people that are hoping for peace and that are hoping for some good outcome, and it just is never coming. It's never there. You can keep on hoping until you're in the grave. Just keep on trusting the plan until there's no plan left and you're at the end. The kettle and the frog. You know, you're going to be that frog in the kettle that finally realizes too late that it was all a bunch of hogwash. Schools have been canceled nationwide in Israel following the Islamic regime threats to attack Israel and directs now sounding across northern Israel. Directs? I have no idea what directs it. Maybe that was a bad translation. That's coming from an Israeli channel on X. Israeli National Security Minister has told, he told you that, Tehran must burn tonight. So they're saying that there's going to be fire in Tehran. So keep an eye on that Tehran feed there because they said it's going to burn. An Israeli official told Ynet that if Iran launches an attack on Israel, that Beirut's Dana will no longer be off limits and large-scale strikes will follow. So not only did they already strike targets inside of that region in Beirut, which crossed the red line, but now they say they're going to go in and really attack. That's really what they wanted. So all this response of Iran is exactly what they wanted. They wanted Iran to respond to their red line being crossed, and now they're going to go all the way into Beirut. So you're going to see Israel into Beirut now. I wouldn't doubt that Israel sends ground troops into Beirut, Lebanon, not to mention massive strikes, taking out major targets, military and otherwise, inside of Beirut, Lebanon. I have that. That's what I think is coming. And they're going to just expand more of their territory and whatever buffer they say it is.
And beat around the U.S. military and wipe out entire flight squadrons of aircraft if they wanted to, and the U.S. is just going to completely shrug that off and act like it's not happening. So,
okay. Senior Israeli official to I-24 News. There will be a response to an Iranian attack. Event coverage, Netanyahu to hold security consultations shortly. This is coming from War Monitor. Reports of a plane crash in Iraq 57 seconds ago. Reports indicate that a civilian aircraft has crashed in the western desert of Iraq. I hope it wasn't a big, jet, like a civilian jet or a 747 or something like that. That isn't good. That was just reported 57 seconds ago. Iran preparing for possible Israeli strikes, so they're getting ready for a response from Israel. Iran has closed its western airspace to civilian traffic. Official in Iran's news agency says closure of the western part of Iran airspace until further notice. Okay, so Faytux News has stated that Trump will tell Bibi in private, Benjamin Netanyahu, to not attack Iran in response to these missiles. But is Israel going to listen? No. They're going to probably go ahead and attack. Remember, I told you guys, and I might have shared this with you, the visuals of this. What I look at as what's actually happening right now, that was seen in the movie Enemy of the State. Do you remember that movie Enemy of the State? When Will Smith was hiding under the table, they all had their guns pointed at each other. You had one side pointing at the government, and the government had their guns. I look at it like this. It's like Israel and the United States have their guns pointed at Iran. Iran has their guns pointed at the United States. And, you've got Russia and China using this as a proxy state. So you can say that Iran is also being directed by China. This is really a war about China and the United States. This is really what this is all about. And Russia's in there as well. But it's mostly about China and the U.S. They all got their guns pointed at each other. And they're telling, okay, you put your guns down and we'll leave, right? At that moment, the government realizes that's it. They're not going to get what they want. The mafia's got their guns pointed, and there's literally the whole room is pointing guns at each other. And so the head guy goes, okay, we're putting our guns away. And he pulls his gun down like this, and he says, we're going to leave. And he goes, we're leaving. He tells everybody to pull their guns back. As they're all pulling their guns back to leave, some Israeli dude with a little Uzi comes in from the back in the kitchen. And he's a younger guy, but you can tell he's like an Israeli. He's got an Uzi. He comes in and he sees what's going on from the back and he shoots, right? And as soon as he shoots, the first pop, everybody starts shooting each other, right? And the whole place is completely destroyed and everybody's dead. Everybody shoots each other. Will Smith under the table. I always say, I'm like Will Smith. I'm going to be under that table. When everything hits the fan, I'm under the table. People would criticize me and say, why are you hiding, Robert? Because I don't want to die, right? I don't want to just go into a hail of bullets. But this is what's going down. This is where everything is headed. You've got one guy that's going to throw a wrench into the whole global situation, which they're going to say is Israel. This is why Israel in prophecy is marched upon by all the nations, because they're going to look at Israel as the reason for why all these terrible things have happened in the Middle East, all throughout the world, and how it's affected nations from around the globe. Whether it's famine because of no oil, because of no fertilizers, because of no petrochemicals, and you're going to have pesticides not coming, so you're going to have pestilence, plagues, and wars, and no fuel that affects the whole planet. I don't know if you saw the video that I posted just today of Palestinians all in this huge dust pile where Israel basically bombed all their food. And all of their flour was up in the dust. And it mingled with actual dirt. And you've got hordes of Palestinians who are starving, picking up dust and flour mixed together, trying to survive. Everybody's here. I'll show you the video. You just need to see this. This is what's happening on a global stage. This is affecting not just Gaza. This is being exported to Lebanon, other countries of the world, and it's going to affect the U.S. If you don't think that this is not going to affect you, you are sadly mistaken. All right, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're sadly mistaken. Okay, now look at this. I want you guys to see this. I think I'm on the right channel here. Let me make sure I got the right channel here. Nope, I'm on the wrong channel. Okay, here we go. Okay, so President Trump says he's going to call Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and tell him not to strike Iran back, per Axios. So just like we just said a minute ago, he's going to tell them not to strike Iran back. This is per Axios. Because it's hitting the fan, right? And is Israel going to listen? No, they're not going to listen. They're going to strike just like that guy comes in the back door and everybody's going to shoot each other. Iran's civil aviation organization has officially closed the airspace of Western Iran. Iran's civil aviation. Okay. Just in, President Trump told Fox News that he was unhappy with Israelis' initial strikes on Beirut, saying that they were not coordinated with the U.S. Israel was responding to Hezbollah rocket launches today. Trump added that Washington was close to reaching a deal with Iran before the attacks took place. Yeah, right. That's a bunch of hooey. Anybody that believes that needs to get their head examined. All right, so here we go. Let me post this really quick. Oh, wait, you got to see this one. This is where Trump gets angry. Well, we'll look at that in a minute. This is the one. You tell me what you think of this picture. They are limiting food for these young women and children. These aren't enemy combatants. These are people that are starving because they've been embargoed. They've been totally, completely, their food supply in this state of war has been limited, if not completely shut off at certain points. That these people are now starving to death because they want them to move out of the region. And look at how they're fighting. Look at how skinny a lot of these people are. But look at how they're fighting over the dust from a bomb that basically blew up all the flour and turned it into dust. Look at how they're fighting over this and how they're putting it into bags. It's just absolutely disgusting. And here's Trump sleeping on the job. You know why he sleeps like this? Because he rage tweets 24/7. He doesn't go to bed because he's sitting there tweeting all night and into the early morning hours. And a lot of those tweets are right from Trump. I'm telling you, he doesn't have somebody else posting this crazy stuff on his True Social channel. That's Trump. And you got these important meetings that are life and death, war, brink of war, economy crashing, everything. And he's sitting there sleeping in the middle of the actual conversation. Have you been watching any of these interviews and these news conferences where Trump is half asleep? I mean, he actually fell asleep in this one here, but he's mostly half asleep. He looks like he's off in La La Land there. But here's the interview. Listen to this interview. And just look at his face here.
Crooked press. People like stupid Biden, he's not smart enough to know what's going on, but people that surrounded him, surrounded his beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office. What they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing
All
wrong.
right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying. But let
There's
me
a
ask
lot
you
of
about
evidence.
Todd Blanche. Let me ask you about
Listen
Todd
to me.
Blanche.
Listen to me.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd
tremendous evidence. There's nothing
It's
but
not been
evidence.
presented
The election
in a
was
court of
rigged.
law.
It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now
You've
in
never
California.
presented evidence
It's happening
that the
right
2020
now in
election was
California.
rigged.
Right now, it's look at what's
Where's
happening
the
in
evidence
California.
to that?
It's
The
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California, it's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close
That's
to
how they-
coming up
that's
with.
how they
You
count
know
the
why they're
votes in
doing that? Because
California.
they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
All I have to
that?
do is look. All I have to
But
do is
that's
look.
not
And I
evidence.
listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they
that
count the votes. in
Do you think it's
California.
appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to making
State
it?
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the
crooked.
votes to be counted quicker. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but
Really?
let's
Well, you play
continue.
right into their hands. then.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
Let's
you play
continue.
right into their hands with this crap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
you know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about-
elections
You
in
went
this
to
country,
court.
we're like a third world country.
But, sir-
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and
But,
Meet
Mr.
the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so
President-
is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But, Mr. President-
You're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good
Mr.
time.
President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat
I
in the
traveled
rain with
all
you.
the- I know. I
I've sat in the
traveled
rain
all the
with
way
you
to
for an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be
We
great
traveled
with a
all,
dishonest
listen,
press.
we
Come on,
traveled
let's go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
A country can never be great without a press that goes along with the government and doesn't have any criticism, right? You know, truth always wins out if you're on the side of what's true. Obviously, there has been corruption on the left. It was allowed to get to the point where it was so bad that everybody and their brother understood. Even the left wing understood how bad it was, and were probably just trying to cover up everything that they could see that was wrong. But that was allowed. They wanted it to get that bad. They wanted it to go to the extreme so that you would call for a swing back to the right, so that anything on that swing back is going to be considered off limits. You don't touch it, right? It's the invincibility bubble. You can't. There's nothing that can stop. No criticisms are going to be received. Like, it's kind of like saying you're a racist. So you don't want to say anything. If somebody accuses you of being a racist, oh what? You're anti-Semitic. Oh well, don't even criticize them then. Don't even say anything, because even if they're doing something corrupt, you can't say not a word, because obviously they use the anti-Semitic term, and you don't want to say anything now. Even if they've done criminal activity, you can't in any way call them out, because that would be anti-Semitic, right? Or racist. You don't want to say anything about their character or what kind of crimes they're doing, because that's considered racism, right? But if it was white people doing it, or people that are obviously on the list, then you can say whatever you want. And I'm not white, so I'm just saying, I'm not white, so I can make these criticisms, right? Or I can explain this. And you can't say that I'm a white person trying to, be a racist. Well, anyways, I'm just saying that's what has happened here. It's like the extreme pendulum swing to the right. Nothing can now be criticized because it's all fake news. Everything is fake news now. Jeffrey Epstein. You want to question Jeffrey Epstein? That's fake. You're fake news. You're a part of the hoax. You're a part of the hoax. If you want to find out what went on there, you're a part of the hoax. That's what Trump said, right? You can't look at that redacted, all those redacted files. That just means you're promoting fake news. You're one of the Democrats, right? There's no accountability. But anyways, let's go back over here to the feed here, figure it out what's going on here. So looking at some of your guys' comment, gonna read some of your guys' comments here. Someone said Trump's drowning in the swamp. Yeah. Draining the swamp, not drowning. Not draining the swamp, he's drowning in the swamp. Okay, so we got some more information here. Breaking President Trump to Axios. I'm calling Netanyahu right now to tell him not to attack Iran in retaliation. Amir Stafardi is utterly shocked. He's utterly shocked that Trump would actually do that. Betraying Israel like this is terrible. Such a betrayal to the Christian right and to Zionists the world over. Trump is literally betraying their security by saying that. It's all part of the plan. Anyway, it's all part of the back and forth to bring as much chaos into the world as possible, okay, to cover up all the crimes that are continually being committed. It's called chaos magic, if you don't know what that is. Amir says, Israel is all alone in this one. Yeah, they're the guy in the background with the Uzi. They're going to come in and they're going to start shooting up so that everybody kills each other. They're alone in it, yeah, but they're letting everybody else kill each other off. They're pulling the trigger so that everybody else kills each other off. That's what they're doing. But that's all part of the plan, right? It was not only Rome that killed Christians and killed Jesus, but it was a collaboration. It was a collaboration. So you had the Israelis, or the state that was completely rejected, that ultimately went into Sporia for 2,000 plus years as a result of their judgment, who collaborated with the Romans to not only persecute Christians, but to ultimately destroy Israel as a state. So when you work with the devil, you end up getting consumed by the devil, right? That's what happens. Historic history proves that out. So what's going to happen in biblical prophecy predicts, this, which I think we're on the brink of seeing coming to pass, is that Israel is going to be surrounded by all of her enemies. And many people interpret that in the wrong way. Israel is also going to be affected and decimated down to a remnant. And the only one that's going to be saved in that last day, when they are surrounded by their enemies and God protects that remnant, because there is a righteous remnant, and I say a righteous Jewish remnant that does receive Yeshua or Jesus as their Messiah, just like the Israelis received Joseph when they finally woke up after what they had done to their brother. They finally woke up. As the Bible says, they will see him whom they've pierced, and they will mourn, they will repent, as one mourns and repents for their only child or their only son, and then they will be saved. Not until then. Until they receive Jesus, they're not going to be resaved, okay? Basic Judaism teaches, and especially Orthodox Judaism and the Hasidics, as well as the Kabbalists, they will teach you, and Talmudic Jews, they all say that Jesus is an idol and that Christianity is idolatry, and any type of application of their law states that any idolater deserves death. Okay? This is just like Sharia law. If you don't know what Judaism teaches, and I'm talking about Orthodox or fundamental Judaism, then you don't know what's going on as a Christian. If you're one of those evangelical, starry-eyed, love Israel kind of Christians, you have no clue what you're dealing with. Okay? You have no clue what you have no clue about end time prophecy or anything the Bible really does teach. And some would say, well, it's anti-Semitic to say that, Robert, because Jews love Christians. Oh, really? Seriously? and you may have some kind of working relationship in the moral region of what they say is Judeo-Christian ethics that kind of affect the laws of Western civilization. But we're not talking about spiritual reality. We're not talking about the spiritual practices or the doctrinal positions that ultimately affect people's actions, their real actions and their real thoughts, when they really hold to what they really believe. We're not talking about secular Jews. There's a lot of secular Jews that are not believers. What's going on here? There are a lot of secular Jews, just like there's a lot of Christians in name only. They're not really believers. They're just cultural Christians. They're cultural. They grew up as a Christian, quote unquote. They don't really know what the Bible really teaches or the application of the truth of the New Testament that reveals Jesus in them. They don't really know the reality of that. And I'm talking about Jews that practice their religion or that are mystics or whatever they're tapped into. These are the ones that apply real Talmudic law or the law that calls for idolaters to be stoned or killed. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your cultural Jew that doesn't really have any kind of belief. They're not really practicing Judaism. There's a lot of Jews like that, just like there's a lot of quote-unquote Christians that have the same mindset about their faith. They were raised as a Christian. They were brought up in the church. They have no idea what it really means when they read their New Testament. They don't have any clue about history. We're talking about real faith here. And I know that by saying all this, I was going to offend some people, but that's okay. People will have to get offended in order to come to a true faith. All right, well, let's see what else we got here. We got some more updates here. Red alerts in southern Galilee. So we got that. That just happened here at... Okay, where are we at here? Okay, we're up. Okay, here we go. Trump says that the U.S. military is on high alert following missile exchanges between Iran and Israel. Israeli media is utterly shocked at Trump's response. I'm not shocked. I knew that was coming. There's going to be a betrayal again of MAGA as well. So it's not just Israel that's going to be shocked. It's going to be MAGA that's going to be shocked. I think Israel has responded enough. This is Trump to CTV News. No more response is needed. We can achieve peace after 3,000 years. Well, I thought he said 5,000 years before. First it was 5,000 years, then it was first it was 2,000 years, then it was 5,000 years, now it's 3,000 years. So Trump is going to bring peace that's never been for 3,000 years. Well, just like he said in that other interview, he was not going to let the end times take place. Remember, he said prophets have said it, and philosophers of old have stated that the end of the world will happen in the Middle East. But I will not let that happen. As a human mortal, I will not let Jesus or any kind of judgments or any kind of prophecy happen in the Middle East, because he's Trump. And who is Trump? Who is really Trump? For him to say what he says about not letting end time prophecy take place, who does Trump think he really is? Does he have the last say on biblical prophecy? Is he basically saying that the Bible is a bunch of, fantasies, fairy tales? Does he not believe that prophecies can't be stopped from coming to pass? Does he not believe that God knows the end from the beginning? So he's basically saying your Bible is a bunch of hogwash because he can stop the end times from happening. This is what Trump has stated. I'll show you right now. This is what Trump has stated, just so you can see what we're talking about here. I'm not making any of this up. Trump has stated that the end times will not happen. Just listen. Just listen. His words are smooth as butter and oil, but in his heart is a drawn sword. Now, he's also said that the prophets, first he said the prophets, and then he said philosophers of old have stated that the end of the world will happen in the Middle East. And I will not let that happen. He has stated in his own words, by the exercise of his own will, that he will not allow the end times to take place in the Middle East. And this, even though it is prophesied in the Bible that it would happen, will not happen. So Trump, here we go. Listen to him in his own words. Is Trump bigger than God? You have to ask yourself, does Trump think he's... Well, he did compare himself to Jesus. He did say, he actually gave Jesus a little bit higher position. He said, there's been no other person ever on planet Earth that's been as popular as me, besides Jesus, of course. And one of the greatest miracles that has ever happened on planet Earth was not the resurrection. It was actually warp speed, according to Donald Trump. But here, in his own words.
There are great philosophers that said the world will end in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. You've heard that expression.
Yeah.
They said the world will end someday in the Middle East. We're not going to let that happen. Okay?
Well, listen, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I really appreciate it. Guys.
The Middle East is rapidly changing. There are prophets that say the world will come to an end in the Middle East. You know that, right? And we have weapons today that are so scary. When you look, I rebuilt them all. And when you look at the weapons we have today, the biggest threat we have in the world today is nuclear weapons.
600.
Biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. This system is in place, and I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system. We will have a proper tracking system.
We will have a proper mark of the beast system. We will have a proper mark of the beast system, tracking you on land, on air, and on sea. A biometric digital tracking system. He's very passionate about that. That was back in 2016. But, everything that he's wanted to do, he's done. Just so you just haven't been paying attention to everything that he says. But anyways, let's get back to the incoming missiles. I'm sure that this is going to be an ongoing thing now for the next... Who knows how long. This might turn into another Middle East. This might be like another Ukraine war on steroids that encompasses the whole of the Middle East, and that the U.S. is fully engaged in as well. And so we might be just sitting here watching this type of thing for the next, who knows, year, 2 years, 3 years. This will be, we'll become so... that normalcy bias will just become acclimated to just more and worse and worse news as every day unfolds, and it continues to get worse. Who knows? We might not even cover stuff like this. Will probably be a nothing burger. What we're seeing right now is just going to be nothing. Oh, well, there's incoming missiles. Oh, that's nothing. That happens all the time now. It's kind of like we just go on with our daily business. We can't be sitting here watching all the bad news all day long. But as the escalations get bigger, like, oh, well, today they used a tactical nuke. Well, let's go cover that. That's something new. Let's go cover that. Tactical nuke was used. Oh my gosh, let's watch. Everybody's going to come to the channel today for sure. Then it just kind of continues on. Oh, well, something bigger happened today. They used a conventional nuke. This is a big one. Look at it. Look at this big explosion. Look at this big mushroom cloud. Let's go check out that one. Oh, everybody, get your camcorders out, or get your TikTok videos out. Look at this one. This one got big. We're no longer caught up in that normalcy. This is all happening. We're all used to it. Frog in the kettle syndrome. Okay, so we got some more here. Let's see. Just got another update here. Prime Minister Netanyahu is expected to talk to President Trump shortly. So that just came out. Let's see what's going on with this cam. You see how they use this? This is the mirror. Let's see how many people are watching. You got 500 people that are watching this channel, thinking that this is legitimate. This might have been footage from earlier, but I have a feeling it might be older footage. But let's take a look at this. This is what they're playing on a loop on the mirror, but you got other channels that are just like this playing a lot of this stuff. This might have been older footage, but I'm pretty sure it probably was. But look. I'm pretty sure this has got to be. This could legitimately be footage from recent, but I'm pretty sure it's old. Like I said, I don't know. Anyways. All right, let me look at some of your comments. Look at a few more comments here and see if we should stay on here or not. Becky, you said if you want to hear about Christ Jesus, you're probably on the wrong channel. Why would you say that? We talk about Jesus all the time. And Islam and Judaism and Christianity do not teach the same about the Creator. They recognize there is a supreme creator and it would be considered monotheism, but when you talk about personal relationship with the Creator, there's only one way to the Creator, and that is through Christ. Other avenues would suggest that historically God winked. It talks about that in the New Testament. God winked at such ignorance, and he allowed certain things to happen in the infancy and the unfolding of human civilization. But as time went on, he required more of an awareness and accountability. Kind of like when you get older, when you reach the age of maturity, you're required to understand and know what the law is. Ignorance of the law is not always, what they say is not always being free of it. The laws of Christ are ultimately given by grace. Everybody has access to that call if you truly are someone that's a seeker. But if you're not, then you're subject to the law of sin and death. The Bible says the law of the Spirit of life that's in Christ Jesus, the law, right? The law of the Spirit of life that's in Christ Jesus has made us free from the law of sin and death. So if you're under the law of sin and death, it's because you don't know the Spirit of God hasn't drawn you. He hasn't called you. So you're under some old law, some sacrificial system or some other, old structure or old wineskin. You're not in any way in relationship or a son of God or a child of the light, right? Jesus made distinctions between the sheep and the goats all the time. Sheep and goats were considered a part of the flock, but they were separated, and they were representing the wicked as well as the righteous. The goats always would, bite. They were always, ones that would be considered to be not allowed into the sheep pen. There's a big difference. Becky, I need better glasses. Why? What did I say? What did I say wrong, Becky? You didn't say that? Okay. Well, that's the only reason why I brought it up was because you made it sound like you said something like that. That's why I said it, just to clarify. So if I made a mistake, I'm sorry. Don't get so angry. I just got the sense when I read your comment that it was kind of like an angry take on something that I said. But I wasn't mad or anything. I'm just trying to get some clarification. That's all. You said, like I said, if you don't want to hear about Christ Jesus, you're probably on the wrong channel. Oh, I got you. So you were saying to someone else that if you don't want to hear about Jesus, then you shouldn't be on this channel. Gotcha. That's good. All right. So I'm not angry at you. Don't worry, Becky. I just misunderstood what you were saying. My fault. I am so sorry. Okay. So I know there are people that don't want to hear about it. Robert, you need to address Antasporos. Okay. Is there somebody in the chat name? Let me see if I can find it. Antisporos. Let me see. I probably do need better glasses. You're probably right. Everybody says I need new glasses. That's probably true. No, they're all good. I just wasn't reading it correctly. Or I had it in my head that she had said something different. Okay, so let me just see. I misread. Yeah, I misread. What do I need to address here? Is there somebody that said something in here that I should respond to? Tell me what they said so I don't have to go all the way back. Okay, so Anta Caroline said, may be Christ is the Son, and the Father, meaning God, then, and the Holy Ghost, and the so-called God is Satan, the adversary. Is that what you're saying? It's probably that bacon I ate. Yeah, did you guys see that bacon I was eating? You guys saw that, right? I just ate as Jesus told Peter to do. Go and eat, Peter. Do not call bacon unclean. This was organic, non-GMO'd, non-vaccinated. This was good pork. I know there's a lot of legalists in here. I know there's a lot of messianics that listen to me. They'll say, no, Lord, nothing of unclean pork will ever touch my lips. You're a beef bacon guy? Leviticus, bro. I know. Oh, she is saying that Jesus is Satan? Really? How can you say that Jesus is Satan? There's no way. No such thing as clean pork. Well, why would the Lord tell Peter to go and eat? Don't call anything unclean that I have called clean. He's talking about the Gentiles, right? But do you think he was actually talking about pork too? No. I guess if you cook it correctly, it should be okay. I know, like this bacon was so good. In fact, honey, if there's any more bacon out there, we should make BLT sandwiches. What do you think? Bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Now, I don't really like eating like pork chops or anything like that. I don't like any other kind of pork except bacon. For some reason, bacon, I don't know what it is. It's just all that fat that just like cooks it so like crispy. Ugh. I don't know. It's got some kind of great taste to it. I don't know what it is. It's just bacon. It's making my mouth water right now just thinking about it. I've got a bunch of messianics. Turn them off now. Get rid of this Robert. Right? Let's turn off his channel now. Try beef bacon. I've never heard of beef bacon, but it's good, huh? I like to bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan. Remember that commercial? That was a woman, though. She was like talking about how she brought home the bacon and fried it up in the pan. God's law does not change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Yes, the principles of truth never change. Now, God's administration of truth as humanity comes of age does change. That's why God said there would be a new covenant that I would write in their hearts. No longer would it be an outward covenant. So obviously God does bring about changes or fulfillments to the law, right? And so you could say that he does away with the law or he brings it to fruition. Just like the stalk of a plant brings forth the fruit or a flower, right? You save the flower, you throw away the stalk. You save the fruit, you don't eat the tree. You don't eat the stems and the branches and the leaves. You eat the fruit, right? So the old covenant was the stalk. It was the vehicle by which the truth blossomed that we now receive the fullness of, the fruition, right? But we don't sit there and worship types and shadows. We worship the reality, right? The type and the shadow is there to show you that there is a reality. The old covenant was just a shadow, a type, right? It represented the reality. The reality is in Christ, right? The type and the shadow would say, no, don't eat grain. Don't pluck the grain off of that's working on the Sabbath. Don't do it. It's against the law. And Jesus would say, hey, I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. You can eat. You can save your your goat or your donkey when it goes into a ditch. You can save that poor man that's laying on the side of the road on the Sabbath. It's not going to make you unclean. In fact, it would make you unclean if you walked right by it because you were trying to be holy and you left him to die. No, a Samaritan who doesn't even know the law is actually fulfilling the law by doing from the heart what's right. So go ahead and have some bacon. It'll be fine. Go ahead, have yourself a BLT. That was the tradition of the Pharisees? Yes, it was the tradition of the Pharisees. It absolutely was. It was legalism. Legalism is about making your own laws outside of God's law. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. They added to the law, just like the Bible says not to do. You're not supposed to add to the law or to take away from the law. Yeah, I don't like turkey bacon either. I think it's okay to eat a little bit of bacon every once in a while. I don't eat it all the time. In fact, I don't think I've had bacon in probably... How long has it been? It's been about at least a month, because I did have a BLT once, honey, about a month ago. All right, so let's see what some more news here. Let's see. Amir Safarti says, I can't believe that the United States still fails to recognize that Shiite Islam ideology cannot be appeased through agreements. It is driven not by compromise, but by a deeply rooted revolutionary vision that sees concessions as weakness and negotiations as another battlefield. Iran has ordered the evacuation of Tehran's civilian airport of passenger planes. Civilian aircraft are leaving Tehran one by one. So they're taking out all their civilian aircraft, probably in fear that they're going to be targeting their civilian infrastructure, which would be civilian airplanes and airports. So they're evacuating their civilian airplanes or passenger planes. Iran has activated air defense systems in a limited area of western Tehran, citing enhanced security readiness against potential threats. So these attacks from Israel have not happened yet, but they may be staging, they may be preparing. So in the next few hours, we could be seeing some major attacks coming in from Israel into Iran. And then you would see the response of the hypersonics. This is why I'm going to explain what I think is coming. I think once Israel attacks Iran, you're going to see hypersonic missiles within 5 to 7 minutes of launch hitting major cities inside of Israel and U.S. targets as well. We're talking about targets all throughout the Middle East that they would say are targets that would be probably military. And who knows, maybe they're going to go after the UAE infrastructure, the oil infrastructure of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, because that really directly affects our bottom line, our ability to function as a global hegemon of finance, right, or of the world reserve currency. It will affect our stock markets, and it's already putting us on the brink of a stock market crash already, but this could push us over the edge. This is what could literally push the U.S. dollar over the cliff, is an attack on all that oil infrastructure in the Middle East. Not to mention Yemen closing their strait, which they say would happen. They're going to close their strait, and then you're going to have 40% of the global oil taken off market, because 40% of the global oil it transits through those two straits, whether it's the Strait of Hormuz or the one right there by Yemen. I forget the name of it. Yeah, it could be because really serious. Let me make sure I get back to my page here. I lost my page. All right, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and make sure you share the feed, and also get connected to our app. I'm going to go ahead and show you the app really quick. If you're on Android or you're at the Apple Store or the Android Store, you can download BP News. Just search BP News and download the app. And then if you want to register with the app, you can, and that way you'll get text alerts if you put in your phone number that can get texts, or you can just use it as a guest and get the push notifications. Go ahead and do that as at your own convenience or your earlier convenience.
Robert here at BP News. Wanted to let you know that we've got the early warning alert system set up. It is the BP News app. Don't miss out on breaking news when it happens in real time. You will get a push notification and or a text alert. In order to get the text alert, once you download the app, make sure you hit the right top hand corner icon, little person icon up there, and register with your phone number, and that way we can send you a text alert. Otherwise, just use it as a guest and get the push notification. That comes directly through the app, and you'll see an alert when we go live. Stay in touch with all of our social media as well here at BP News. God bless.
All right. So I think we just got some information here of let's see, a video. It might be a video of an Iranian missile hitting. Okay, so we have footage that shows an Iranian missile allegedly hitting the Ramat David Air Base in northern Israel. Okay, let's see if we can see that. Let's see if that's some of the footage that we were looking at earlier on the other channel. Okay, so this just popped off just now. I told you we would be getting like video coming in. A lot of times the video in Israel is censored. They don't allow people to take video footage of incoming attacks that hit targets. It's against the law. But someone here took this footage. We'll just see what this is. This is the Ramat David Air Base in northern Israel, allegedly. Let's go ahead and look. So that was supposedly a hit that just happened. That may have been a hypersonic. We're coming in pretty quick. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Israeli airstrikes across southern Lebanon are happening right now. Israelis are not happy with Trump. Quote, Netanyahu must respond to the Iranian bombings even at the cost of confrontation with Trump. Quote unquote, Israel Channel 14 has stated. Israel Channel 14 has stated that Netanyahu must respond to Iranian bombing even at the cost of confrontation with Trump. So what they're saying is, what was that? Let me look at the feed here really quick. Iran issues evacuation orders for Tehran and Western Iran airports. Okay, we saw that. Okay, breaking. According to I-24 News, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defense Minister Katz, and Israel's security leadership are set to convene an emergency discussion on Iran within the coming hour. Oh, wow. The chairman and the Nome Party, MK, this is probably in one of their meetings. The Nome Party, MK, stated to Netanyahu, Mr. Prime Minister, it's time to say no to Trump. So they're basically saying it's time to part ways with the U.S. and their policy and go at it alone. Let's go ahead and throw a wrench into everything and cause the whole world to blow up so that we can just hide away safely as everybody else destroys each other. Has not that been the plan all along? But it won't work, because what's going to happen is a coalition is going to come out of the north, just like it says in the biblical prophecies and the texts for the future events, as we've already seen all these things lining up, with all the nations involved being gathered right now on the doorstep of Israel. It's only going to take a little bit more before you see Russia leading this group down into Israel here, I bet, real soon. And who knows how Trump's going to play a part in that. Maybe Trump will turn and become an enemy as well, right? Okay, so we got, despite Iranian threats to attack Israel again, despite Iranian threats to attack Israel again, if Israel renewed its attacks against Lebanon, Israel just began its first strike against Lebanon after the Iranian attack. It's not that they struck Iran, they struck Lebanon earlier today. That's what caused the Iranians to do what they did. So this channel doesn't know what they're talking about. We got the footage of what they did earlier. Israeli opposition leader Naftali Bennett blasts Netanyahu for not responding to the Iranian attacks. All right, whatever that was, it was a big truck or something. All right, so let's take a look and see what else they said here. So they said he blasts Netanyahu for not responding to the Iranian attacks. Is Israel a sovereign state capable of defending itself? Bennett asks. Israeli opposition Avigdor Lieberman, head of the right-wing Yisrael Beitenu party, calls for an immediate response to Iran's attacks. So they are calling for a full engagement, some of the other parties. And I guess Netanyahu is kind of holding back a little bit, waiting on Trump and what he's going to say. I wonder which way Israel's going to go on this. We are in a very precarious moment. Things could really hit the fan here anytime. Yep. It's getting interesting. The U.S. Embassy inside of Israel says employees should stay at home, prepare to enter protective spaces. This is the U.S. Embassy statement to employees. inside of Israel. Okay, what was this? Updates, yeah, updates there. Okay. While the world watches Iran, okay, this is the wrong one. I'm sorry. Okay, 13 seconds ago, Western Tehran airspace has been closed to all civilian traffic per Iranian NOTAM. Only military, state, medical, and SAR flights are permitted. Eastern Tehran, FIR, is unaffected. Okay. So we have a statement 2 minutes ago from headquarters inside of Iran. Let me turn this down. Okay, inside of Iran, the headquarters, central headquarters, stated that Israel will face, quote, more crushing blows if it expands operations in southern Lebanon or responds to Iranian military strikes. So if Israel responds, there's going to be very harsh consequences according to Central Command inside of Iran.
رژیم متجاوز صهیونیستی با نقض مکرر آتش بس شرارت‌های خود علیه مردم مظلوم لبنان با چراغ سبز و حمایت آمریکای جنایتکار و سکوت مجامع بین‌المللی روز به روز افزایش داده و با استفاده از سلاح‌های ممنوعه از جمله بمب‌های فسفوری مرتکب جنایات جنگی می‌گردد. با وجود هشدارهای قبلی جمهوری اسلامی ایران، رژیم کودککش صهیونیستی با عبور از همه خطوط قرمز و افزایش حملات در جنوب لبنان زاویه بیروت را هدف قرار داده است. قبلا اخطار داده بودیم در صورت گسترش جنایت در زاویه بیروت اهدافی را در سرزمین‌های اشغالی مورد هجوم قرار می‌دهیم. ارتش صهیونیستی باید حملات خود به جنوب لبنان و زاویه را متوقف نماید و در صورت گسترش حملات خود به آن منطقه و یا پاسخ به اقدام ایران با ضربات کوبنده تر و پشیمان کننده روبرو و حملات ویرانگری علیه رژیم و حامیان آن آغاز خواهد شد.
All right, so that was just released just a little bit ago. Okay. What did I do here? Ah. Okay. All right, we've got U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem urges all American citizens to seek shelter. Israeli warplanes have carried out airstrikes across several areas in southern Lebanon. So this is obviously going to cause Iran to respond now. And they're calling for immediate responses to Iran now. From people in the government now are calling for Netanyahu to strike Iran. But see, this all started, the reason this all happened, and I'll show you where this all began. This didn't just spring out of nowhere. Israel attacked a Hezbollah leader is what happened earlier today, or Hezbollah leadership is from what I understand. And let's see if I can find it here so I can show you. Okay, I must not have posted that. I thought I posted all that. Where did I see that at? Sounds like a big plane. Okay, well. By the way, North Korea is definitely increasing its arsenal of nuclear missiles, which is also interesting. Oh, let's see. Where did I see that at? So the Iranians shot down an American MQ-9 Reaper, and there is evidence of this. It could have been an Israeli drone too. It crashed in Iraqi territory. That was what we said had crashed. I guess there was some kind of a. It's likely a Hermes 900 that was trying to monitor missile launch locations tonight. Okay, so here it is right here.
وين رايح؟ محمد جيب السيارة
Okay, so they actually have footage of the plates that were on it, so you can tell that it's a actual Reaper drone. This is it right here. Or a Hermes, I guess, that shows some of the markings on it. All right, so let's see what else we got here. A military source told Tasnim that Iran has a substantial number of missiles prepared for immediate launch at a broader set of Israeli targets should Israel retaliate. Iran is begging to be hit. That's what I said. That was 6 minutes ago. Heavy strikes on Hezbollah right now. This is southern Lebanon. Explosions north of Tabriz airport. We told you about that one. This is Iranian state TV aired footage of at least 10 ballistic missiles fired at northern Israel in 3 waves. All were intercepted, supposedly. All right. So we got some new updates here. We have Iran issues a new threat. If Israel responds, missiles will immediately be launched toward a list of targets in its territory. I think we already talked about that one then. So Amir Safarti, for anybody that knows who he is, he has stated that Iran, with its quote-unquote defeated army, managed to successfully drive a wedge between Trump and Netanyahu. This is a problem with Amir and his eschatology and his misinterpretation of prophecy, and also just the mind and heart of God, just basic discernment. He doesn't understand what we've been telling you all along. So all of his fantasy books that he writes about prophecy really are irrelevant to anybody, though he's making lots of money off them, because he doesn't get it. He still doesn't get it. He thinks that Trump and Netanyahu are working together closely when they're really not. Trump's actually in control and has always been, and is doing his own will. He doesn't have Israel's best interests in mind, nor does he have probably the U.S.'s best interest in mind. Really, this is about global domination. Now, Israel's plan has always been to be, according to their prophecy, under David's rule over the whole of the earth. This is what they plan. This is why Israel's and Trump's Israel and Trump are close in proximity, because they both have the same goals. And so Trump is using what Israel's doing in order to gain an advantage, ultimately in the end, to gain his control over many nations. Israel's wanting to do the same. This is why China has taken Israel's, China takes Israel's philosophy and tries to market it for businesses. If you didn't know about this, but what they call the, what they call it, it's kind of like the philosophy that guides Israel and its ability to use their intel apparatus and their technologies, and it's kind of based in a certain philosophy that goes back to Judaism. Well, principles of Kabbalah, really, but they incorporate that into a business model, and they try to promote this as some kind of a self-help technique for Chinese in the way they conduct their affairs. They kind of model it after the Israelis' way of trying to gain controls over different, their intel, right? The way they infiltrate, the way they use technology to try to gain an advantage over a more powerful opponent. The Chinese have tried to knock all that off, as they do with everything. You know how the Chinese knock off everything. The Chinese are masters at taking something, reverse engineering it, and then mass marketing it and reselling it at a cheaper price. And so they're doing the same thing with what Israel's trying to do, right? But this is when eventually the whole coalition of nations comes and marches against Israel, according to biblical prophecy, is because the world realizes that everything is emanating from this particular location, which we call Israel proper. And this is why there is an element of prophecy being fulfilled, but it's not the way many evangelicals or even Jews interpret it. The way they interpret it, it's God's plan. It's not their interpretation of God's plan, which always is skewed and becomes like a national, some kind of identity, like Christian identity or Christian nationalism or Israeli Zionism, or they always impose a religious motivation on top of a political agenda. And when you do that, you're just basically empowering the human nature. You're not really following God's plan. God's plan is not to empower human nature. It is to bring human nature to a point where it goes to a cross and dies. And that's when Jesus gives you a new nature, right? Just like Jacob's nature was changed from Jacob to Israel, right? His nature was altered. And so the same thing has to happen as a believer. You have to have an altered nature. And so the nations also have to have an altered motivation and nature. You can't just take a belief system and impose it on a political agenda and say, oh, God's with us. Yeah, God's with us. We're fighting a war in the name of Jesus, or we're fighting a war in the name of Yahweh, or fighting a war in the name of, God Most High, or however they want to, or Hashem, or Allah, or whatever. You're not going to fight a war in the name of God, because He does His own thing. He does judge, and He does cause nations to do certain things. He allows them to judge other nations, but He ultimately judges them as well. Like God always would use enemies to judge His people, and then He would judge the enemies that brought judgment on His people. So God is equal opportunity judge. He judges everybody. That's why we all have to recognize that we're all under God's judgment in some way. We just need to be right with Him, right? It's not so easy for institutions to get themselves right with God because they don't have a structure that bows to God's leadership, true leadership that God has installed. And you don't really find nations that have godly leadership. Let's see. We've got Chief of Staff Zamir is currently in a situation assessment with the General Staff Forum. The IDF, quote, the IDF will strike the enemy with force as soon as the green light is given. This is in the Situation Room inside of Israel. We told you that they were having a meeting right now with all the heads of the military and Netanyahu. And this is what just came out. The IDF will strike the enemy with force as soon as the green light is given. This is coming from the Chief of Staff. I'll post that right now. Okay, and then we have here, let's go look and let's go see this. So this is celebrations at the Revolutionary Square in Tehran. Jubilation. Looks like jubilation to me. Okay, so you just posted that, honey. All right, sorry about that. I'll just delete yours because I got the picture. Oh, no, I'll just put my picture in yours. How's that? We can do that now. There you go. All right, let's see what else we got. So my expectation is that in the next few hours, we're going to be seeing some real bigger engagements between Israel and Iran, and probably retaliations from Iran on U.S. targets, as well as Israel itself, and potentially, Gulf oil states and their infrastructure, because they have threatened to do that as well. Now, they're not threatening to do that at this moment, the Iranians, but they may do that. I don't know. It depends on how this escalates, how quickly it escalates. I would imagine that they're just going to target U.S. bases and Israel because that's what they've said they're going to do. Now, if they have something else up their sleeve where they would go after the Gulf states, that would be bad. That would be the escalation that we would be saying is, going to be very bad for the whole world really quickly. And it could escalate that fast. It depends. Because I think Trump realizes how bad this can be to the whole global economy now. He's finally figured it out. Maybe he already knew. Maybe he's just Wile E. Coyote and knows and doesn't want everybody to know that he knows. It's kind of like he knew that COVID was actually a lot worse than it was way before he even said anything. We were aware of it in early January, and he didn't do anything until March. Okay? So that's why I was really freaked out about, that's when I turned on the whole Trump thing, was because I knew Trump knew, and he didn't do anything for 2 months. Okay, so maybe Trump knows what's really going on here, but he's allowing it to go this way because it's giving him plausible deniability of actually precipitating World War III. He can blame it on Israel and yet take advantage of all the things that are happening. So that's my take on it, because I don't really trust Trump's motive in any of this. And I think he is a very smart politician. I think he understands what's really happening to a greater degree. He's probably not as stupid as the left thinks he is. And he's a lot smarter than even Q thinks. All the Q people out there that think he's a genius, the 3D chess move president. He's much more wily than they even imagine, according to the biblical take that I have on him. What I think he's doing, I think he's a lot smarter than a lot of people think. And it comes not just, it's coming from other sources, if you know what I mean. So we will see how fast and quickly this escalates. And by the way, for those who didn't know, Brass Monkey supposedly, now I haven't seen confirmation of this in any post from any obituary or anything, but supposedly McGill, for those who knew McGill, I've been hearing that he passed away. I'm not sure exactly what, I don't see any obituary, so I'm not sure. But the communications I received a few days ago was that McGill passed away from a heart attack, if you guys didn't know who he is. So pray for McGill's family, for those who knew him, if it's true. Like I said, I don't have any real confirmation because I haven't seen anything in the news or anything, or any posts. It's been since Sunday, supposedly. Now, the only thing that makes me believe that this is probably true is that he hasn't posted, or he hasn't been seen on Telegram since the day they said he passed away, which was Sunday, the 31st of May. So he may have truly, passed away. I'm guessing it's true. So I kind of wanted to wait to make sure, but I'm seeing other people are now starting to talk about it. So for those who didn't know who Brass Monkey was, or McGill, that's the announcement. So let me just see if I can see anything on anything, because usually it takes up to 7 days for an obituary to pop up, but I still don't see any obituaries. So anybody else out there confirm anything that they know more than what I already know? Just post it. Lee Waters, it was just someone that was pretty regular at one point here on the channel. And who had been a part of the fellowship that we have for those who were involved. There was probably a handful of people, I'd say probably about a good 30 people that would probably have known him pretty well. There's probably more than that, maybe 50 people that were a part of our fellowship that knew him. So I'm looking at some of your comments right now. If anybody in the comments has anything they want to say. Oh, we got a new member, David Craig. Well, David, I haven't seen you in a while, bro. Where have you been? David Craig, what's going on, my man? So how many of you guys here knew Brass Monkey? Just out of curiosity. Hey, A-Dub, God bless, bro. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Good job, A-Dub. And A-Dub is ready for when the lights go out. I'm just telling you guys should get prepped in every way, whether it's alternate energy, whether it's extra food, whether it's having a source of water. I'm telling you guys, food is going to be a major thing in the coming days because of what's happening and how this is going to escalate. We expect it to affect critical infrastructure, affect transportation of basic food, things that you're going to need to your local stores. Everything is going to be affected, which is going to precipitate, social problems. Just say social problems. All right. Someone said gays get married and even have children. How is that possible? How does a gay person have a child? Is it even possible? No. Now, when you say they have children, maybe they have them in their possession. Maybe they adopted them, but they can't actually produce a child. How's it going here, Say? Good to see you. Trust in the Lord. Some of us won't be here. Right? You're talking about the rapture is going to take place before all the tribulation happens? You don't need to prep because you're just going to be taken. Now, what happens if that, let me ask you this question. Let's just say that your eschatology is incorrect. You're not going to be let into the ark at the last minute. And then the waters begin to flood. Then what? You still will trust the Lord. It's kind of like martyrdom. You're going to still trust the Lord in your death, right? Or are you going to be like, God, you didn't save me. I'm dying in this flood of evil and judgment that's hitting the whole world. Because really, think about it. I always tell Christians this whole idea of, well, they always say, well, God would never abuse his bride. Jesus would never abuse his bride. Well, what is abuse? You're talking about martyrdom? Are you talking about being boiled in hot water? Are you talking about having your head chopped off? Are you talking about any other sundry torture, being fed to the lions? Is that abuse of God's bride? Because those were all, Fox's Book of Martyrs were all people that were very faithful to the Lord himself. And every apostle on top of that died a martyr's death, except maybe John. So are you saying that that's abuse? Are you saying that you wouldn't happen to have one of the same types of fate yourself in the latter day if this is truly the end times? And you're saying that God's going to spare you from that? I'm just saying, like, what is abuse? Like, what is true? Is that wrath? What is wrath? When people say, well, God's not going to pour out his wrath on his church. Well, duh, because he loves the church. But does that mean that he's going to spare you from physical death? Or from having to pay the ultimate price, which means that you lay down your life? All I'm saying is tribulation just can be interpreted. One person can be in a fire and be consumed by the fire and be with the Lord, and another person can be in the same fire and be consumed and be found in hell. So for one person, that's wrath, and for the other person, it's instant promotion into glory. You know what I'm saying? So what is wrath? God's going to save his people from the wrath. It just means that he protects you in the moment of your death, right? He's going to usher you into his presence. So for one person, tribulation, or the last day tribulation, might be a scary term, and the Lord needs to save us from that, but really, what's he saving you from? The fear of death, right? If God saves you from the fear of death, then you obviously have been spared the tribulation. It's good to have David Craig back. God bless David Craig. Brother in the Lord has been away for a little bit, but we've talked a couple of times in the meantime, but I'm glad that you're back. All right, so I don't know if we should just keep on going. I think we'll just come back when all the bombs start falling again. We'll just make another live alert. Yeah, you heard about that, Sherry? Did you just hear about that, Sherry, today? Sherry, how long have you known about that? You know what's really weird, too, is they've released supposed confirmation of some old alien footage. Supposedly this alien was being, I don't know if it was being interrogated or if it was being, somehow it had a medical episode, quote unquote, while they were interrogating it. And this was all on film. And supposedly now this has been confirmed to be government actual footage. Have you heard about this? I looked at that video and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? They're saying that this is real? Has anybody seen that footage? They say it's been out there for a while and there's like 3 different parts to it, but now they're saying it's confirmed that it is government footage. Okay, so we're getting reports here that Israeli journalist Gideon Levy says which direction the conflict takes depends on Trump, Al Jazeera reports. How devoted is he to stopping Israel? The coming hours are going to be really crucial and critical, Levy told Al Jazeera, noting that the region faces 2 prospects, a return to a ceasefire or a return to war and conflict, right? Okay, Iranian strikes U.S.-backed Kurdish separatists' positions in Iraq. So Iran is taking out Kurds inside of Iraq, which are basically just U.S.-backed forces. So the Iranians are taking out U.S.-backed forces right now inside of Iraq. According to received reports in a conversation that ended shortly ago, Netanyahu informed Trump of an intention for a powerful attack on Iran. The U.S. president clarified that the Americans will not take part in such an attack if it is carried out. Didn't he say that before, and we actually did be involved? I think Trump actually said this before and portrayed it as if the Israelis were going to they were going to do this on their own. And so who knows? I know that Trump always says things, but doesn't actually say what he means. Okay, so here's another take on it. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told Trump that he wants to launch a massive bombing campaign of Iran. And Trump responded that he won't stop him, but that the U.S. doesn't want to be a part of it. This is according to Yedot Aronot. I don't know if that's a paper or what, some kind of Israeli paper. All right, looking back at your comments. Why don't you have any friends anymore, Becky? What's the matter? What are you talking about? You don't have any friends anymore. So full clip says he saw the footage of that alien, and it was one of the ones that caught his attention. Look up the footage called Skinny Bob footage. Let me see. Skinny Bob footage. Let's take a look. Oh, okay. That's weird because it kind of looks like that dude, huh?
When examining operational photos from the 1901, would upload the second and most unforgettable video of the series, Skinny Bob. This time, it's not just blurry silhouette seen from a distance, it's a being standing before us in full detail. He stands, waiting with an almost human-like calm. Imagine looking at this being face to face. What would you feel looking into those eyes? The camera pans up his body from bottom to top. As if to prepare the viewers, his body comes into frame first and his head last. Bob is wearing a tight-fitting suit. A distinct crease is visible on his chest. At the top of the frame, a notable device is seen. A stadiometer used for measuring human height. In other words, Bob was recorded as if in an ordinary examination room.
What?
Interesting is that the model of the stadiometer doesn't perfectly match any known vintage design. Either it was a custom-made version, or those who prepared this scene had a different device on hand. In later scenes, we see Bob in a seated position. From a side profile, he turns his head, even acting as if he is focusing on something. At the edge of the frame, what appears to be a human arm and part of a jacket can be seen. This suggests Bob is not alone in the room. According to the claims, in the uncropped version of the scene, Bob is sitting at a table studying star maps. Seated across from him are officials in period uniforms. When the video is examined by experts, frame skips, small shakes, and the natural jitter characteristic of a low frame rate are detected. This is the behavior of a real analog camera. In other words, these are not simple things a special effects artist would overlook. That's why the
You guys want to see this?
claims are not convincing to most experts.
Let's take a look at this. This one is called Skinny Bob footage, or this is the Skinny Bob. Some people say this is legit too. So all this is coming out now. Why is this coming out now? That's what you got to ask yourself. Why is this coming out now? Let me put this up here really quick.
Bob's eyelids close by, moving from both the top and the bottom. This detail is very important because, similar to the human eye, it refracts light and covers the eyeball. It is completely impossible to achieve such a natural play of light in a puppet or a simple mask mechanism. Some dark spots are noticeable on his face. It's unclear if these are impact marks or natural skin tones. But if this scene is connected to the UFO crash shown earlier, perhaps Bob was injured. His hands are another mystery. Black nails are visible at the tips of his slender fingers. This is a forgotten detail also mentioned in old UFO reports from the 1990s. And one more detail. There is a dark stain on the wall in the background. If this scene were digitally produced, this stain could easily be found in a stock texture pack. But to this day, no researcher has found such a match. Even more mysterious is the short clip titled "How to Drive." Here, shadows appear on a glass-like surface. Some suggest this is a panel used by Bob to control his spacecraft. 4 small symbols appearing on the surface are noteworthy, as they seem to be positioned to align perfectly with Bob's 4 fingers. While these symbols look like smudges at first glance, a closer look reveals they are embossed or engraved markings. In short, the Skinny Bob footage is too detailed to be explained away as a simple hoax. The human-like naturalness of his posture, the realism of his blinks, the creases on his suit, the nail marks on his fingertips. None of these are details that can be easily produced in a film studio one by one. The last video posted on Ivan0135's account contained one of the most talked about and critical details in UFO communities. Ivan claims the first contact occurred in 1942, followed by regular diplomatic visits. According to a secret agreement called Treaty 23/04, terms of the meetings were rewritten. The very existence of the footage points to a kind of diplomatic crisis. Today, the Skinny Bob file remains unsolved. If this footage is real, it could be the first clear recording of not a faked, isolated image, but could be the scene of a military operation. In subsequent clips uploaded by Ivan, autopsy scenes come to the forefront. The being on the table is not lying on the metallic surgical tables we see in typical fake autopsies, but on an ordinary table covered with a white cloth. When examining operational photos from the 1940s, it's seen that such cloth-covered tables were indeed common at the time. Even more astonishing is a small mark on one of the doctor's gloves. In one clear frame, this mark resembles 2 digits written with a pen, 98. This suggests the people filming were conducting a real medical procedure, and perhaps even noting measurements on their gloves. Such small details support the idea that the footage is from a secretly recorded process, rather than a fake production. Shortly after, Ivan would upload the second and most unforgettable video of the series, Skinny Bob. This time, it's not just blurry silhouettes seen from a distance. It's a being standing before us in full detail. He stands, waiting with an almost human-like calm. Imagine looking at this being face to face. What would you feel looking into those eyes? White film confidential documents old footage. The moment it opens, we're met with a damaged black and white film recording. It begins with an image displaying the insignia of the KGB, the security agency of the Soviet Union. In the footage, an object with rounded contours is seen gliding through the sky. A UFO-like craft. In the background there is old film noise, distortions, and scratches. At first glance it looks like a recording taken straight from an archive, but this is only the beginning. One of the most striking moments in the recordings belongs to a crash scene. An object, shattered or crashed to the ground, appears on the floor. It looks like the burnt fuselage remaining from a UFO crash. Traces of smoke are visible in the frame. While they might seem like random dark spots at first, in stabilized frames, it becomes clear that these traces are actual columns of smoke rising upwards. You can even see the smoke casting shadows on the craft's body and the ground. One of the most noteworthy points is the being lying on the ground. At first impression, it appears motionless, but if you examine the frames one by one, you can notice small muscle movements. A finger on its right hand twitches slightly, its head tilts to the side, its left hand seems to rotate at the wrist. This is not a lifeless body, but perhaps a living being, exhausted while trying to escape the crash. The tracks on the ground are another mystery. There are footprints leading from just behind the being toward the wreckage. This tells a simple story. The craft crashed. The entity inside emerged and tried to walk, but collapsed to the ground after just a few steps. In some scenes, silhouettes can be seen in the background. Initially, they...
Well, what do you guys think? What's your thoughts on that? So that's Skinny Bob footage. There's a bunch of videos on this. I never seen any of this. You know, this looks eerily similar to what occultist Aleister Crowley saw. Aleister Crowley. I forget what the alien, he called him, the alien was Lamb that he would talk to. He said it was some kind of enigmatic spiritual entity that he called Lamb. And take a look at what it looked like. Isn't that something similar to what Aleister Crowley saw? He had drawn pictures of it. Aleister Crowley drew pictures of it. They're demons. These are demons, man. I mean, look at this one right here. Look at this picture right here. Look at that one right there. Doesn't that look like the one that we just were looking at? Or that was, they said that one, let's see, that one is Alien and a Demon. Anyways. Nope, I hear something going on one of the feeds. Let's see what's going on here. Sounds like a big aircraft. Anyway, guys, I better get going. If anything does happen, we'll definitely be back on. So stay tuned to the BP News channel and make sure you subscribe, share the videos, and thumbs up the videos, comment, make sure you comment. Tell me what you're thinking in the comment section. Get it on the algorithms. The more engagement's always good. And we'll be back on the flip side here with more news as it begins to unfold. Stay tuned to BP News as the source of all information that is accurate and way ahead of the curve. Timely, very timely. Mr. Bill. All right, I'm looking at your comments before I go. God bless. Becky, God bless. Shadow Files, Samson, Sam Thomas, Patty, Dog Whisperer, Lori, A-Dub, Renee, Dog Whisperer. Did I say that already? Who else is in the house before I go? No Pats, Old McDonald, Kevin McGrath, Shadow Files, Nick, Becky, I said you, Becky, Lauren. Who else? Before I go, David Craig, God bless, beloved one, and Michael Clark, Lynn Farley. God bless you guys. I will see you back soon. Have a good afternoon and a good evening and a good morning if I don't see you. All right, God bless.